taken a series of pictures of a simple white coffee cup on a simple white surface. And the reason I did that is I wanted the environment to be simple enough that we can clearly see exactly what's going on here without the mess of additional textures, colors, and shapes. It's a nice simple shape, nice simple materials. So in this image, it's very easy to see that we have a single object on a ground plane, and it's illuminated by 3 light sources. We know that because we can very easily count 1, 2, 3 shadows. 1, 2, 3 shadows, which means 3 light sources. Additionally, we can tell, notice here, and for your information, you can actually see in the reflection here, there's actually 2 tubes and they're going across this way. And even if we didn't see the fluorescent light reflected in here, we could know that just by looking at the quality of the shadow. The reason we could know that is because if we look at the shadow, we notice that it's very soft crossways, but it's sharper up and down. In this direction, you can especially see it here where this shadow is fairly sharp going in this axis, but in this axis you can see it's much softer. This is blurred right out here. Here we have obviously a winter image, and if we look at this very closely, we'll see that the foreground lighting is a little bit cool, and then we have this really warm patch of light in the middle, and then we have kind of darkness here, and then we have this bright snowy kind of warm patch on the top. Now initially looking at this, you may go, no, this is white light on white snow, but that's very difficult to reconcile, because if we look at this is also snow. This is clearly not the same color as this. Either this is cooler than this light, or this light is warmer than this light, or more likely both. This area is shadowed by, there's a fence over here, so we can see just how blue skylight really is. It's really darkly, intensely blue. The way to tell how much saturation, how much color saturation is in light is simply to look at the source. If you look at a canary yellow wall, you know that the color of the light coming off of that wall is canary yellow. What's interesting is the psychology behind the response to this image. Right? People look at it and go, oh, it's such a beautiful day, of course it's going to make me feel great. But there's much more to it than that. If I took this tree out of the equation, this would still be a beautiful sunny day, but the image would not feel as energetic. And there's a number of reasons for that. One is the contrast between the orange of the tree and the blue of the sky. This contrast gives real energy. If we look at this color wheel, for example, we'll see that the orange of our tree is about here, and that the blue of our sky is somewhere over here, so they're close to opposite. And colors that are opposite each other on a standard color wheel are very attractive together. And this is really the same thing as subsurface scattering. And the main difference between translucency and subsurface scattering in the world of CG is that translucency for us applies usually to objects that are a thickness of 1 polygon. And they show a shadow through them, whereas subsurface scattering usually applies to objects that have some depth to them, such as human skin or a candle or a glass of milk or any one of those other cliche items that subsurface scattering is used for. But understand that in the real world, light transmission is just light transmission, whether it's through clouds or milk or flesh or wax or leaves. It's all the same function. Here's another shot looking up, and this is looking direct. Here's another shot looking up, and this is looking directly toward the sun. We can see the volumetric streaks. And then here's an example. This is looking in the other direction away from the sun, just to show you that the entire area is filled with fog, and that the volumetric streaks come from only where you see direct sunlight. Notice, however, that the shadows are, for sunlight, fairly sharp. So these particles will be diffusing the light somewhat, and in fact you can see highlights of diffusion around here. One of the things that's interesting about volumetric streaks is that because light is hitting water dropules inside these areas, the light diffuses outwards. So these areas of illumination actually become light sources themselves. So where there's sunlight shining fairly direct light through, there's also now a secondary light source. This becomes a light source and it's spreading this beautiful soft light. So you see these soft glows that are coming from these volumetrics, which are now themselves light sources.